A very warm welcome to you this Saturday morning on, I think today's date is the 12th of April, the year of our Lord 2025, and it is a wonderful time to dismiss and dispel the news concerning sports developments all over the world. Welcome to Afia Sports, the home of sports on Afia TV. The frequencies still remain the same. DSTV, channel 254, GoTV, channel 17, and Free TV, channel 748. You're welcome. So much on board, so much to talk about today. Starting from the MPFL, we'll discuss that in depth, and so many things that have been happening. Records that have been tumbling left, right, center. The chances of Rangers retaining their title, next to none. And then, of course, we're going to move and then see what's happening in the English Premier League and other top leagues. And then, of course, the disaster. You know, we have avatars in different places. You have the last style bender, the last air bender, last water bender. You now have the last rice bender. We'll talk more about that in a jiffy. And then we will also talk about Novak Djokovic. Is he experiencing a decline after losing a second time to Alejandro Tabilo in the Monte Carlo Masters? And then, of course, Lewis Hamilton has returned to the Formula One circuit, but this time with Ferrari. We'll talk more about that. Just stick to the TV. Don't touch that dial. Welcome to the show. I am Sisi Emechebe, also known as Sisi the Rabbi, and I'm not alone in the house. Full house this morning. Welcome to the show, our co-host, Emeka Madoka, the priest of football.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always.
Great to have you. And then we have the divinator himself, Divine Onwuka.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to you.
Of course, without his divining tools. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And then we have our dear friend here, Zik, the blessed Zik himself. Pleasure. Welcome back.
Pleasure. Welcome.
Okay, so welcome to the show, guys. Don't just stay tuned. We will go in depth. If you want to rant, you want to vent, this is the time to do so, because a lot's been happening. Many people are not happy about what's going on, especially in this part of the world. 0-4-2. Now, Enugu Rangers, it is not news that Enugu Rangers in the last two games particularly have picked only 1 point, solitary point. After that loss at home to Plateau United in match week 32, they found themselves losing, or rather drawing, grabbing a point against Bendel Insurance. But we're going to look at the MPFL fixtures. The Nigerian Premier Football League is at the tail end right now, and this is the business end of it. It seems as though Remo Stars, despite the fact they picked only 1 point, a solitary point from the last two games, might be running away with this title and become the first private-owned club to win it since Julius Berger in 2000. But we're going to look at the MPFL results right now, the fixtures. Of course, who played against 3SC, and that was the result there. They beat them 3-0. And then we're going to have games today. Of course, you have Rangers, Enugu Rangers, defending champions against Heartland of Owerri. That is the Oriental Derby. Well, not the Oriental Derby, but an Oriental Derby, because, come on, there's only one Oriental Derby. Let's tell ourselves the truth. That has to be Enugu Rangers and Eimba of Aba. But this is a worthy Oriental Derby, and Heartland will be visiting the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium to lock horns with them. Then Nassau United, one of the teams in trouble in the relegation zone, will be playing against the other clubs that are there. Yeah, that's Plateau United, so a game of two Uniteds, and that's the North Central Derby. And then Kano Pillars are going to be playing against Lobby Stars. Lobby Stars, well, we say that they're really on a high after that 2-2 draw against Remo Stars. We'll get to that in a jiffy. And then Sunshine Stars are going to be playing against Eimba, welcoming Eimba of Aba. And Abia Warriors, still talking about Abia State, will be welcoming Rivers United. And then you have Remo Stars, who will be hosting Katsina United, off the back of that mauling they suffered at the hands of Oga Boys, who were no longer, I think they're Oga Men now. And then you had Aqua United, who will be hosting El Kanemi Warriors. And then Kwara United will be hosting Bendel Insurance. And then Oga Boys, we talked about Ikorodu City, will be hosting Niger Tornadoes. These are the games that will be coming up this weekend, beginning from tomorrow. Actually, those games will be tomorrow. But for now, starting with the games that happened, the postponed games. That is talking about the Lobby Stars game against Remo Stars. And the Lobby Stars are in a big problem. We'll get to the league table in a jiffy. They're in a big problem right now. But the management of Lobby Stars have started playing the blame game. You know, I'm one who believes in not fixing the blame, but fixing the problem. They're playing the blame game. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Context is everything. Lobby Stars have changed 5 coaches this season alone. 5 coaches. So there's a managerial merry-go-round that's going on there. And you see, as you can see on the TV there, Lobby Stars and Remo Stars, that rescheduled game, match day 30 rescheduled game, Lobby Stars at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, which they are borrowed home ground, hosted Remo Stars, and it was a 2-all draw. But, you know, the managerial merry-go-round is there. And now the management of Lobby Stars are blaming the players. They're not blaming the coaches, including Dabul, Malamunike. They're not blaming themselves, the management, the hierarchy, the chairman, the board of directors, but they found a convenient scapegoat or a set of scapegoats to blame, and that's the players. It bothers me that, you know, when the buck stops at the desk of those who lead, they share blame where it shouldn't be shared. Yes, I know the players have their own role to play when it comes to results on the pitch and lack thereof. But, you know, starting with you, Emeka, I don't know what your take is on this matter. Is it the right thing to do? Do you go around blaming your technicians, especially when you don't give them a conducive environment or work tools to get the job done?
Well, playing the blame game is never the way to go. I mean, you can want to blame the manager for the poor results. You can want to blame the players. But, I mean, if you're not getting the decisions right from the top, no matter who you bring in, even if you bring in File Ilechukwu or you bring in the Remo Stars coach or you bring in any of the good managers, it's still going to be the same results that you're going to get. If the team isn't working in synergy, there's no understanding from the above, there is no clear structure in the club, there is nothing that can happen for the club. I mean, you're just going to keep on running into dead ends, you're going to keep on suffering defeats. You need to assess from the beginning, from the top down to the bottom. You need to know whether everybody's getting their jobs right from the beginning to the bottom. If the managers are doing the right things by bringing in the right players and bringing in the right coaches, I'm sure things will move forward. They need to reassess, and hopefully if they go, as they go down, because they're already on the down waters, as they say, they just need to take the next season, reassess, and try and rebuild and come back up to the MPFL. That's just what has to happen.
Okay, we'll still revisit that concerning whether or not they will go down, because mathematically they still have a place in the Premier League. But, I mean, possibility versus probability, yes, we'll get to that. But Zik, your take, please. It is disturbing indeed, but it's safe to say that blame should be shared in the right proportion.
Yeah.
And the fact that, just to allude to what Emeka has confirmed and what we've been talking about, the fact that the Lobby Stars management seem to be gaslighting.
How many points? Personally, I don't know their stage or their...
They are rock bottom. They're the basement boys. They have 32
so
points.
How many,
25 points.
How many points mathematically are they?
Mathematically, with match week 32 was well played. So we're going into match week 33, beginning tomorrow.
Yeah,
So that means there are 5 games to go.
Okay.
That means they have 15 points to play for. So the maximum they can get is 40 points. So that 40-point mark, that proverbial 40-point mark that most teams have to reach for survival is the barest minimum.
No, the thing
and
you
it's
have
now
to
the
look
maximum
at,
for
the
them.
thing you have to look at is the team that is like third from bottom or first from bottom.
Well,
how many points?
Right now, Nassau United, now it's mission impossible, but stranger things have happened in football, but it's not likely to happen. It's just when it's mathematically impossible for them to go. Right now, Nassau United escaped the relegation zone narrowly. Right now, they're in 16th. You know it's 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th that go down. Nassau United have 39 points, which is just a point below that threshold of 40, which is the maximum Lobby Stars can get. Yeah, it's safe to say, let's stop kidding ourselves. It's safe to say that Lobby Stars are going down. Sorry. I'm sorry. Mathematics or geometry or whatever you want to say, they are going down. It's not a matter of if but when. But for now, they are clinging on to the Premier League by their fingernail. Not fingernails. One fingernail, maybe the pinky. The pinky,
because
yes.
if you're talking about a team or a club that has sacked, 5 managers, it tells you enough of the story. I will use a case in point, Real Valladolid in La Liga. They have taken 7s and 6, and they have sacked 3 managers. They're already on their 3rd manager, who is a B team, a manager that has already been promoted earlier on in the season when they sacked their first manager. So it already tells you there's instability, there's lack of direction, there's lack of cohesive energy, and all these things are very, very important factors that helps a football club. The fans do not see all those things that walk behind the scenes. All we see is the match day the preparations, the playing of the 90 minutes. But a lot of things have to go on, you know, the payments of wages, you know, the infrastructure has to be organized, the training stadium. And Lobby Stars, I think the management, I don't like to talk about management in Nigerian football because there's a lot of muddled, you know, back and forth between governments and, you know, bodies and players. And for me, I just think, like Emeka said, they're already going down. They have to just go back, re-strategize, build, and, you know, come back.
Okay, so I think it's also safe to say that should Nasarawa United get 2 points, let's just say 2 points. Okay. Because if they get 2 points, that is 2 draws from their remaining games, then they will seal the fate, whatever
if Nasarawa United is the 4th from bottom or the 5th from bottom,
the 4th from bottom,
then there's no hope for Lobby Stars. They are gone.
No. Just, I mean, look, hope. See, a friend of mine once said, blessed are the hopeless, for they shall not be disappointed. But hope is a very essential commodity.
Yeah, it's important.
But let's put that aside. See, I'm not a hope peddler in this case. Lobby Stars, you're finished.
That kills sometimes.
Yeah, I have to be honest. No, but okay, fine. Yeah, divine. Now that you want to become Voltron, defender of the universe, a simple question. Moving forward, what seems obvious is that Lobby Stars are going down. Yeah. So what's the way forward? Moving forward right now, life in the NNL. What do they do? Do they do? Okay, let me ask 2 questions right now. Do they do a Heartland? You know what I mean now. Heartland managed to get the spot of Beyond Limits from last season. Beyond Limits qualified to get into the MPFL, but Heartland entered into an agreement. I'm being careful what I'm saying because, you know, allegedly, there was no exchange of resources. There was no payment, allegedly, for Heartland to retain their Premier League status. So, as a result, Beyond Limits forfeited their position and remained in the NNL, and Heartland had a second chance, a second crack of the whip. Do you think it would be wise if Lobby Stars, with all their foundational problems, toe that same line, or do they look themselves in the mirror, life in the NNL, at least one season, and say, look, we have messed up big time, let's do a thorough restructuring, and let's change things, let's recruit properly, provide an enabling environment for the players to thrive and do what they have been employed to do, and then gone to return to the Premier League and then right the wrongs. What's your take? What exactly do you advise the management of Lobby Stars?
The last thing you just said now, it's to fall back, go back to the drawing board, find the loopholes, whatever made them find themselves in the NNL, possible NNL, they should actually try and know what the problem was that brought them back to the NNL and brace up, because life in general consists of failures and successes. So whatever made you fail, you stand up again, try to cover up your loopholes, try to, how do I say it, take care of your shortcomings, limit your shortcomings, and, you know, move on. Because that's when you fall, you get back up. That's what life is all about. So in this case, that's what they need to do. Try to find out what brought them here, and then brace up, correct their wrongs, right their wrongs, cover up their loopholes, and move back to the MPFL.
Okay. Yeah. What's your advice? Yeah.
Even to put on, you know, add a little bit more light on what you said about Heartland and also Lobby Stars.
Yes.
Lobby Stars are one of the most, you know, important prime clubs in Nigeria.
Traditional, you know, MPFL powerhouse.
And I remember growing up how the name used to, you know, be rang around the stadiums, around the country. Lobby Stars, Niger Tornadoes, Iwanyawu United, for those that don't, you know,
back then, BCC Lions of Boko.
Yeah, so it's a very sad occurrence right now, what's happening to them. But we believe you have to just get your house in order. And I'm also I have to, you know, point it out that, you know, when we're working on radio, you and I, when this news came out from Heartland about having this, I think it's a very, very bad precedent for the Nigerian league to have, you know, dropped out something like, you are rewarding bad behavior, you are rewarding bad practices, you know, rewarding negative negative attitudes in terms of the owners. You know, it doesn't matter, we can buy the slot. They might say it's not they didn't buy it, we don't know, but there's no league that such thing happens, and you don't want to be extra professional if you do not stop such occurrences. You know, it doesn't make any sense. If there's a playoff whereby you fight on the pitch for 90 minutes, countries do that. You know, the third from bottom in the top division versus the second from bottom for the, that's fair. That's spirit of sportsmanship. That's what football should be all about, not, backdoor deals that people do not know about that is not clear. I'm not in support of that, and I just have to make sure that the fans and the viewers know all about that. Okay,
so that's about it. I think that they will need to really take that advice. And speaking of advice, I don't think we need to give any advice to Ikorodu City, Oga Boys, because they are ruthless. Those guys are ruthless. 6-0.
Can I just say this? Yes, can they change the boys in the name? Because this aren't boys anymore.
Not my call. But okay, so Oga Boys to men. Fine, let's stay with that. So Oga Boys to men. The Oga Boys to men. So the Oga Boys, Ikorodu City, in their match day 30, the rescheduled fixture against Katsina United, who are the unfortunate victims, mauled them by 6 goals to 0. 6-0. Of course, it was even a substitute, Cole, that came off the bench to replace Okechukwu, who was their leading striker, and then he scored a hat-trick in that game. He came off the bench for the second half, and then in that second half he scored a hat-trick. They took them to the cleaners, and that's the first time that a club in the MPFL is scoring 6 goals in a single game since Plateau United did it last year. So that means that the table standings are looking very, very interesting right now. The MPFL table right now, after 32 rounds played, Remo Stars are still sitting pretty on top. 61 points, that means they are 6 points clear. Yes, they've had a sort of dip in form in the last 2 games, but it's still not very, very serious unless they continue that way. It's their season to lose, their league to lose, because they picked a solitary point in their last 2 games. But they are still 6 points clear of second place Rivers United, who are one of their victors, the one that beats them, actually, more recently. And Abia Warriors are 3rd on the log. And Ikorodu City, Oga Boys, because of that bashing and mauling, have pushed themselves to 4th on the log. Then Shooting Stars, 3SC, find themselves 5th. 3SC, of course, will just say something briefly about 3SC before we move on, about the fine. They have been fined for the actions that were involved in their last game there. They've been fined, and they have a ban that's going to be, a ban has been handed out to them. The rest of their home games for the season, they have been banned. Their fans will not be there. We'll talk about that in a jiffy. Then we have Enugu Rangers, defending champions, quite funnily and quite sadly, are in 6th position there, sharing the same points with Bendel Insurance, their latest opponents, Bendel Insurance, 46 points apiece. Likewise, Aimba, who also have 46 points. So that's 6th, 7th, and 3rd on the log. And then Bayelsa United, sorry, I said 6th, 7th, and 8th on the log. Bayelsa United are 9th, and Kanopila, same as Shigida, are 10th. Second half of the table, Kwara United are 11th on the log. Niger Tornadoes are 12th on the log. Plateau United are 13th, while El Kanemi Warriors are warring on in 14th position. Katsina United find themselves only just above the relegation zone, but they have reached the magical 40-point mark because that's 15. That they are in 15th place. And then Nassau United are the biggest winners on this match week because they came out of the relegation zone, and they are in 16th place, a point above the Nazi Millionaires, Heartland FC Owerri, who are 17th on the log, and Agua United are 18th, a point behind them. Sunshine Stars, well, there's nothing sunny about the Stars. They're not shining right now. They are there in 19th on the log with 35 points, and 10 points behind the second worst team in the MPFL is Lobby Stars, who are dead and buried, goner. So that's what it is at the moment. It is quite unfortunate. It's quite sad. So
you can you can see that the table does not lie.
No, the table doesn't lie.
The table doesn't lie. Okay, look at Heartland. Are they going to get another free B?
No, but the thing is this: Heartland I won't say they are the victims of their own success. They are the victims of their own standards at the start of the season. They did well. That's even why they are only just above the relegation zone.
But if you are in the relegation zone with 5 games to go, with your destiny still in your hand.
Yes, that's the key point.
It's not the
best position. It's not the best position to be in. But at least it's much better.
A lifeline last year.
It's not the best. It's not the best position to be in. But I'm more like a glass half full kind of person. It could have been worse. So Heartland and Lobby Stars will never Lobby Stars will exchange the position with Heartland in a flash. They even eat the hand of Heartland.
Of course they would.
No, because your destiny is in your hands. You just have to get your games right.
Mathematically and destiny-wise, Heartland are still on it to get themselves.
Yeah, they can get out. They can
But
get
there's
out.
38 points, and the magical points is 40. They are just 2 points behind that, with 5 games to go. And if you look at the fixtures coming up, and the fixtures between Lobby Stars and the remaining fixtures and Heartland, I do kind of see Heartland having the upper edge because their fixtures seem easier, rather to say. So it's all in the hands of Heartland, it's all in the hands of Lobby Stars. Can they get the 15 points to get themselves to that 40?
Any way they end up at the end of the season has to do with what they've done in the remaining 5 games. Because this is a decisive moment in the league. So there need to be eyes open, their guns need to be blazing, their cylinders need to get fired up.
So they need to go and fill the cylinders with some gas. No, considering that this is just so we can get some context, Heartland are 17th on the log, and because of that, all they need to do to escape relegation is better the results of those just above them. Talking about Nassau United, Katsina United, El Kanemi Warriors, and possibly Plateau United. You could even add, because you're looking at a game of fine margins, very fine margins, and then of course you do better than the teams that are below you, referring to Aqua United, Sunshine Stars, and Lobby Stars. So that's the situation on the ground. Heartland FC, I wish you all the best. And truth be told, it's not just because you're on a rental team, but because of the fondness I personally have for Emmanuel Amunike. I would not want him in his managerial debut in the MPFL to go down because he's too good to go down. That's my own take regarding the matter. And speaking of going down, you can't go lower than this. Shooting Stars, 3SC, Shooting Stars of Ibadan. I'm trying to remember, what was the team that they even had that clash with, that issue with? I'm even trying to remember. These things do happen. But based on the fracas that they had with their was it Kwara United? I think I'm trying to remember, but I will verify that now. No, it was a Southwest derby. It was a Southwest derby. It happened. I know the MCR will help us with that very, very quickly. But in the match that happened there, as a result of the hooliganism that happened, yes, thank you very much. I knew I could count on your MCR. It was Ikorodu City Oga Boys. You see why they're Oga Boys to men. They showed themselves not like boys, but like men. And the whole situation happened there in Akure, and there was a lot of hooliganism and then attacks on officials. And as a result, the MPFL board have looked into the matter and investigated, and they've slapped a 5 million naira fine on Shooting Stars, 3SC, Shooting Stars of Ibadan. And also they have banned them from having any home supporters in their last home games for the season. So that is really quite sad. 3 home games left for the Shooting Stars. And I don't want to dwell too long on this because we'll go on a very quick break after this. We'll need to move on. But it is disheartening that 3SC don't seem to learn their lessons. It's 30 years ago, yes, I remember. 30 years ago, something similar happened. There was a match that involved, I can't remember the team, but it was 3SC that was hosting that match. And it was in Akure, so the team bus that was carrying players of that opposing team was attacked. Shots were fired, and a player died. Some of you may not remember, some of you may be too young to remember that.
That's
Igenwari
what I wanted to,
Igenwari George, the younger brother, he was 16 years old, the younger brother of Finidi George. He was a promising player about to break into the Super Eagles team after establishing himself as a Golden Eaglet and then moving through the ranks. Yeah, sorry, it was in Ibadan, 3SC Ibadan, not Akure, I beg your pardon. I'm referring to 3SC proper, in Ibadan. It was in Ibadan. So that was a slip. So the point is, January George was shot dead. That was a very tragic moment. I remember vividly, 1995, I was in senior secondary school at the time. It was very, very heartbreaking that even 30 years down the line, they've not learned their lesson. This fine, 5 million naira for permitting this act of hooliganism, and then the remaining home games of the season not having fans. Do you think it's the right call, or do you think they should have had stiffer punishments?
I think it's
quite briefly, I think it's fair enough. The 5 million is fair enough, but the funds being taken away is also good because you need to try and limit why these things happen. I mean, there could have been fans who came out with grievances and went there to attack the opposing players, had the officials molested and
we do not accept hooliganism in football pitch because the players are the things that the fan, or they are the people that we want to watch. And you don't want to be uncomfortable in your workplace, even as we are here. You don't want to be, fearful of your own safety, of your own security and something like that. I think the fine is substantial. It's not too robust, it's not too weak, because if you have dropped 5 million naira, it's nothing. But now forcing them not to play with, fans who, maybe teach a little bit of sense to the common man, and also for the officials of the club, so that they can, organize a better procedure for the next season and next home games to come.
Okay, so find a way to curb hooliganism at the end of the day and make them behave themselves. Even though every team, it's known that every team has a one-man riot, just like in Bayelsa United. Then every team has a one-man riot, but when you have more than one-man riot, voila. So, Divine, what additional advice you can give to 3SC? Because 3SC are traditional powerhouse. When you talk about powerhouses in the MPFL over the years, right from the 70s, you talk about Enugu Rangers, you talk about Eimba, you talk about 3SC, Shooting Stars of Ibadan, you talk about Lobby Stars, you talk about Nazi Millionaires, that is former Iwanyu National, Heartland of Warri. These are teams you talk about. So whenever you talk about such teams and then hooliganism comes to mind, it is not palatable. It doesn't sit down well. So do you have any additional advice to give 3SC regarding how to get their players and their fans, to comport themselves? Any advice?
Maximum security is very, very important. Stewards who can help make sure that the stadium is in order whenever they are there to play. Or for crying out loud, you come to enjoy football, whether your team loses or wins. You don't come to cause chaos. If you want to cause chaos and violence, then you should take it maybe to a ring or to a martial arts sports and do that. But when it comes to football, you come, enjoy your game. If your team loses, fine, you can only get angry and complain and move on. If your team wins, you celebrate and encourage your opponents. That is how to be. So for me, I'll tell them to maximize their security system. Their security system needs to be maximized, because if they do that, then even if such things happens again, they can be controlled before it gets out of hand. That's what it's all about. So that's why at times, some of us Nigerians here, let's use Enugu for instance, some people here in Enugu don't really follow Rangers, but they are lovers of sports.
Yeah.
They don't follow Enugu Rangers, but they are lovers of sports. You can hear them and listen to them argue about Europe and Champions League and Premier League and all the rest. But when it comes to our dear Rangers and MPFL here in Nigeria, they know nothing about it. So please, they need to maximize security. That's one of the factors that brings about a successful league and a successful football match.
Okay, thank you very much. Words well spoken, wise advice. I just hope that they will take the advice. And as we are about to go for a very quick break, a reminder, last week's episode was this talk about the Unity Cup. The Unity Cup that was going to take place, that's taking place in May 2025, where the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the Jollof Derby will be facing the Black Stars of Ghana. That will be on the 28th of May. And then, of course, the day before then, 27th of May, you have the TNT, that is Trinidad and Tobago players. They get the Reggae Boys of Jamaica. They'll be playing there, and then the winners of both ties will clash in that game. And it's going to be in London, but we're adding the information that many of you probably didn't get last week. The venue proper will be the G-Tech Community Stadium, which is the home of Brentford in London. That's the game. So if you're going to book your tickets, fly there, fine, beautiful, and enjoy the game, just do so, and then, get the, yes, jollof will be served. Plenty of jollof, whether it's going to be the Nigerian variety or Ghanaian variety. Time will tell. May is not far. Stick around, guys. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more sports news after this break.
Thinking up ideas is one thing, but bringing them to life, now that's a whole different story. Welcome to Clinton Hall Innovation Center, where science and technology don't just meet, they greet.
You are going beyond retailing and just randomly importing things to actually producing and inventing things for your fellow manufacturers, in fact. and also, of course, the retailer and the wholesaler on the other side.
I made a commitment to myself that when I grow up, that I'm going to build a center for innovation where people like me who have ideas, designs, talents can come and have access to equipment and machines to build prototypes.
This isn't your average workspace. It's a fine example of a maker's space and hardware incubator that's exploding with innovation, engineering, and real manufacturing magic.
I'm not interested in protection or patent or copyright. I'm more interested in sharing. So I'm sharing, I'm teaching, I'm building people. Maybe when we have built, we can maybe choose to go to protecting. But right now, my priority as a leader is training, sharing, instead of protecting.
Would Clinton Hall Innovation Center win a seat at the 100 over 100 table? Only time will tell.
To the home of sports on Afia TV. Of course, the frequencies still remain the same. They have not changed. They're not planning to change anytime soon. Channel 254 DSTV, Channel 17 Go TV, and Channel 748 Free TV. And here we are on the home of sports. I remain Sisi the Rabbi, and we have the guys as usual, the priest of football, Emeka Madoke, and then of course Zikora himself, the blessed Zik, and then Divine Onwuka, the divinator himself. We're here, and we are in Europe right now, and the EPL, the English Premier League, is getting to the tail end. A lot of drama is happening. Yeah, Liverpool are the leaders. It is their title to lose. But they also have a bit of big news. We'll talk more about that news as we go to the fixtures this season in the round of 33 in the English Premier League. Games that are to come. There's a round of 30, no, sorry, round of 32, match day 32. I beg your pardon, match day 32. So those are the fixtures you have there.
City take on Crystal Palace, Brighton take on Leicester, Nottingham Forest host Everton, Saints, who have been relegated, host the Villains. Arsenal do host Brentford in that London derby. Chelsea hosts Ipswich, a revenge game, as they say. Liverpool, West Ham, Wolves versus Tottenham. Newcastle hosts Man United. Bournemouth hosts Fulham.
So those are the games in the English Premier League, and it's very, very hard to talk about the standout fixture there this week. But I would say, first of all, a lot of eyes are going to be on some games. One of the games that will have a lot of attention, and I want to know if you agree, you have Liverpool, West Ham. Liverpool are 11 points clear. Yeah. They're coming off the back of a loss to a London side. They lost on their trip to Craven Cottage to Fulham. They beat them 3-2.
The key game there will be Arsenal-Brentford.
Then Arsenal-Brentford. We'll get that's the London derby. That's the late kickoff for today. Man City, Crystal Palace. Well, Pep Guardiola, Oliver Glasner, I don't know. But for me, one of the key traditional fixtures there that everybody's going to be looking out for will have to be that trip to St. James's Park. Newcastle United against Manchester United, the Battle of the Uniteds. Your take?
A win for Newcastle.
Why the sudden gasp?
I didn't say your prediction, I said your take. You've taken them to the cleaners.
I've taken them to cleaners.
For me, I think it's a very interesting game for both sides, especially Newcastle. They are just riding off the wave of that Carabao Cup win, first time in decades that they have won a trophy, and you can feel that there's a sudden,
renewed life.
Yeah, there's sudden energy, burst of optimism, joy among the fan base. Even the players can't even contain themselves sometimes. I listened to the interview that Bruno Guimaraes did for a Brazilian channel, and you could see that the guy was so happy and he was buzzing. So for them, they just need to continue their own destiny for the top 5, because it seems like it's going to be 5 teams from the Premier League that gets there. I think that Newcastle, for me, I believe that they can win this game. United are not so fantastic, but I think all eggs are now in the Europa League. And
so that's,
for me, Newcastle.
That's putting in mildly. But we'll get more we'll talk more about that as we move on. Yeah.
When you said 4, I thought we would say that Newcastle hit mine by 4 goals.
That won't be a surprise. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, quick one. Newcastle to win it, 2-1.
Okay, fine. So we'll at the end of the day, we'll see the results and then see whether the match what we're talking about. Many eyes will be on the Arsenal game against Brentford. Arsenal will be trying to get a double over Brentford. They're off the high because of what happened in Europe. America will talk more about that when we get to that point. Against Real Madrid, we know what happened. Then, but we're interested in seeing the kind of changes that Mikel Arteta is going to bring, because naturally you're going to want to have your strongest side travel to Santiago Bernabeu to finish the job, because truth be told, it's not just Arsenal's season that hangs on that. The whole of England's future in the Champions League hangs on that, because should Arsenal get through to the semi-finals, they will strengthen that claim. Of course, because of that, the coefficient has risen, and the Champions League is now guaranteed to have at least 5 English teams next season. And it could rise to as high as 7. We'll talk about that in a jiffy, very when we get to the European point. But Arsenal also have some bit of good news. Ricardo Calafiori is back in training, and he may feature in the game coming up. He may feature in that game. Kai Havertz, that should have been ruled out for the season, is back training rigorously. And there is a chance, a big chance, if Arsenal should do the unthinkable to many, reach the Champions League final, there's a chance that he could be ready for the Champions League final. So it's good news for Arsenal in a way. But getting to Liverpool against West Ham, you know, they are going to try to right the wrong. And that brings us to the league table right now, because we're going to talk about some good news coming from Liverpool in a bit. The league table in the English Premier League right now, after 31 games, you have Liverpool, who are top on the log with 73 points, and Arsenal are second, 11 points behind them. Then Nottingham Forest are third on the log. Then you have Chelsea, who are fourth. Newcastle United are fifth. They share the same number of points, but goal difference is helping Chelsea greatly. Manchester City are sixth on the log. Aston Villa are seventh on the log. Fulham are eighth on the log. Brighton and Hove Albion are ninth on the log. Bournemouth are 10th on the log. Crystal Palace are 11th. Brentford 12th. Manchester United 13th. Tottenham Hotspur 14th. Everton 15th. West Ham United 16th. Wolverhampton Wanderers 17th. And then in the relegation zone, the teams that don't seem they could escape, you look like they could escape. Ipswich have just 20 points in 18th. That's bad, but not as bad as Leicester City, who has 19th with 17 points. And then the team that's dead and buried that got their relegation confirmed, Southampton. With 7 games to go, they are saying bye-bye and going straight. I almost said to the NNL. That's even what they deserve to be. They're straight to the championship, English championship. So Liverpool are on top of the log. And the good news coming from Anfield is the fact that
the Egyptian mummy lives to reign
well,
again.
You call him a mummy. Please disregard that. He's not a mummy. He's more like the Pharaoh. He's not a mummy. No, come on, mummy. How? Not the Egyptian king himself. The Pharaoh. Mohamed Salah. Please ignore these juveniles. Mohamed Salah has extended his contract by 2 years with Liverpool, which means, all things being equal, he's going to have spent 10 seasons in Liverpool Football Club. And he's, of course, he has one of the highest number of appearances for Liverpool. He scored Premier League goals, 184 Premier League goals. He's tied with, that would be, he's tied with Sergio Aguero, yes, Kun Aguero, yes. And he's 3 behind Andrew Cole. So he's trying to break his, and if he continues with his vein of form and stays injury-free, there's a chance that he could get very close to Wayne Rooney's position or even Harry Kane's position. Please forget Shearer. Leave Shearer.
I think he's actually looking at the Liverpool record itself.
Yes, no,
he's 100 goals behind Ian Rush.
Ian Rush record of 346 goals.
He's just 100 goals behind.
Just.
For somebody like Salah, he can score 40 goals a season.
If he's a runner. Salah is 33.
Are you doubting him?
Salah is 33.
Moving on, we also have the Dutch defender who has also signed a contract extension. Van Dijk.
Go for it.
Yeah, whatever. Virgil van Dijk, just like you said, has also signed in the same ceremony. So offensively and defensively, Liverpool have a lot of joy right now because their veteran centre-back, Virgil van Dijk, has also signed a 2-year contract extension. And then Salah is there too. Salah obviously has many records to break. Salah also wants visibility. It is very, very clear that Salah wants to be within a very, very big shout of winning the Ballon d'Or. Truth be told, no disrespect to the Saudi Pro League, because he turned down about £500 million for the Saudi Pro League to remain with Liverpool. He has unfinished business. The truth be told, visibility, no matter what Cristiano Ronaldo has done in the Saudi Pro League, the Saudi Pro League will never in recent times have as much visibility as the English Premier League. Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that Salah has made the right decision for his career and for those accolades. He wants the team to win, but he also wants to win those big individual honors, including the Ballon d'Or.
His statement said it all. He said, I want to win big trophies and enjoy my football. That's the last thing on his statement.
Yes.
That tells you everything you need to know about
that tells you everything that is to know about the... So moving very, very quickly, we're still in Europe, so we're going to the Spanish La Liga. In the Spanish La Liga, we have games that are coming up this weekend. We'll just run through them very quickly. In the Spanish La Liga, it's getting to the tail end. Yesterday, Valencia beat Sevilla by 1-0. And then you have Real Sociedad hosting Mallorca, Getafe against Las Palmas, Celta Vigo against Espanyol, Leganés will be hosting Barcelona. Of course, they'll be trying to do the double over Barca, but I don't think Barca will allow that to happen. Then Osasuna will be hosting Girona, and Alaves will be hosting Real Madrid. Real Betis will be hosting Villarreal, and an Athletic Club will be hosting Rayo Vallecano, and then Atletico Madrid will be hosting Real Valladolid. Those are the games in the round of 30 in the Spanish La Liga. And of course, on top of the log, Barcelona are there with 67 points. Real Madrid are 4 points behind them with 63 points. Atletico de Madrid are there in third position with 60 points. And then Athletic Club are fourth on the log with 54 points. Of course, the 4 teams that are there are the only teams that have never been relegated, so it's not a surprise at this stage. 8 games to go. Villarreal, Real Betis, Celta Vigo, Real Sociedad, Rayo Vallecano, Mallorca make up the top half of the table. Then Getafe, Valencia, Sevilla, Osasuna, Girona, Espanyol, and Alaves are in safety right now, down to the 17th, while in the relegation zone you have Leganés, Las Palmas, and then Real Valladolid, Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima's club, the basement boys. It's quite sad, but that's what it is. Then, of course, we have, I'll just mention this, I would have loved to mention what happened in Turkey when Osimhen scored a goal and is now on top of the log with 21 goals scored in a 2-0 win. He has 21 goals in the Turkish league. Yesterday he scored that in the Turkish league.
Does he happen to be the highest goal scorer?
He's the highest goal scorer in the Turkish league, of course, before Uncle. He's the highest goal scorer. But now we are going straight to the German Bundesliga. There is one major game there, and that's their Klassiker will be happening at the Allianz Arena, where Bayern Munich will be hosting Borussia Dortmund. But quickly, I'll just run through that, and then we'll go straight to the European games that happen there. In the German Bundesliga, Wolfsburg lost at home to Leipzig yesterday. Then Bayern Leverkusen, the defending champions, will be hosting Union Berlin, and then Borussia Mönchengladbach will be hosting Freiburg. Hoffenheim will be hosting Mainz 05. Bochum will be hosting Augsburg. Kiel will be hosting St. Pauli, and the late kickoff today will have their Klassiker. Bayern Munich hosting Borussia Dortmund. And then Stuttgart, tomorrow's game, Stuttgart will be hosting Werder Bremen. And then Eintracht Frankfurt will be hosting Heidenheim. Those are the games that will happen in the round of 29 in the German Bundesliga. And that's very interesting indeed in the German Bundesliga. I think we'll just throw in Italian Serie A, then we'll go to Europe, because those are no disrespect to the French League, but it is what it is. Coefficient. Okay. AC Milan got off to a blistering start in the round of 32 with a 4-0 mauling of Udinese, their host. The Tijani Reinders rounding off the scoring after Teodo Hernandez, Pavlovic, and then Rafael Leao's goals earlier on. So you have them. Then Venezia, today Venezia will be hosting Monza. Internazionale will be hosting Cagliari. Juventus will be hosting Lecce. Atalanta, Edemolo Lukman's Atalanta will be hosting Bologna. Fiorentina will be hosting Parma. Then Verona will be hosting Genoa. Cesc Fabregas Como will be hosting Torino. Lazio will be hosting Roma in the Roman derby. And then Napoli will be hosting Empoli in the Poli derby. Okay, so those are the games that are happening in the round of 32 in the Italian Serie A. The race for the Scudetto, of course, on top, Internazionale are there. Napoli are second. Atalanta third. Let's just leave it at that. As we move straight 2. These are
The biggest competition
champions.
in Europe.
Yeah, I know. Eagerly. I don't have accompaniment, so I'll do it myself. The champions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get this camera right on my face right now?
Yeah. Do whatever he has to
Now,
do. Shoot him.
It was the
Not literally, please.
It was the quarterfinals in the Champions League, and clubs were expected to do the jobs, and 4 clubs did the job. I'm talking about FC Barcelona with the 4-0 mauling of Dortmund at home. PSG did the job in Paris, 3-1 against Aston Villa after coming behind from Rodgers' goal. Internationally beat Bayern in the Allianz Arena 2-1. Trivial rocket from Lautaro.
The only away win for the record. The only away win.
The only away win for the record. And in the Emirates, the biggest shock of the weekend.
You have to say the best for last, right?
It was a rice classic, a two-piece rice bender.
The last rice bender. Put some respect on that name. Bend it like that.
Or to play for the Santiago Bernabeu, the second leg, or to play for in Italy in international, return leg in Aston Villa's home, and a trip to the Iduna Park in Germany.
Okay, 2 questions very, very quickly. These are the first question I'm going to ask right now. Is it safe to say that, this is my own thought too, I'm just saying, is it safe to say, and then you give reasons if you think otherwise, is it safe to say that all the winners so far, considering the lineup, they're looking at a 3-1 commanding victory against Aston Villa, even though I'm going to add this, if Aston Villa win against all odds, if they win this tie, and then go on to win the Champions League and get their second European Cup, if they go on to do this, and they finish outside of the top 5, and if Manchester United, because we'll get to that, if Manchester United or Tottenham Hotspur win the Europa League and finish where they are, I mean, they're not getting any higher than that.
Sure.
That means there'll be 7 teams from England in the Champions League next season. So just put that in mind. Now, considering the fact that these teams have won there, will you say that they have the biggest chances of scaling through? Because these are 2 questions in one. Would you agree that they have, all the winners, they have the biggest chances of scaling through to the semi-finals? And then what are your score predictions for the second leg this week? This week we're stepping into. So from you, I want to take it from the 3 of you.
All right. So in the Arsenal-Madrid game, the return leg against Santiago Bernabeu, I do see Madrid winning it, but Arsenal will win it on aggregate.
Aggregate, okay.
I will see Barcelona convincingly doing the job in Germany, getting a straight win.
Okay.
No draws, no defeats, just a straight win for Barcelona, taking them straight into the semi-finals on aggregate. PSG convincingly to do the job in England. I'm sorry, I don't see Emir and his boys picking themselves up from this defeat.
Against his former side?
I don't see it happening. I see a straight win for PSG in England. The return leg in Italy, I do see Inter solid enough to do the job and kick out the German powerhouse. So that's my prediction.
Okay, fair prediction. Zeke?
I think I will actually toe the line that Emeka has actually gone with, because if you look at all those ties, most teams have a comfortable enough, cushion for their own ties. Barcelona have already, I think, they have done the job against Borussia Dortmund. Inter Milan against Bayern. If Bayern had not been crippled with the injuries that they have been crippled with, people like Jamal Musiala, that are very, very important for their creativity, I would have said there's a hope for them. But Inter should just see the job out. Arsenal and Real Madrid, I don't think Arsenal can escape, even though I see Real Madrid still doing something, because that's their competition. That's what we know them for. I'm not saying that Arsenal do not have a chance. They have put themselves in a very, very fantastic and comfortable or commanding position, but I just feel that Real Madrid, the power of Real Madrid, can still do something. And the last team there, that's Paris Saint-Germain and Aston Villa. Enough said, I think PSG are going through. They just have too much attacking weapons. Aston Villa will have to come outside than they did at Parc des Princes. I think PSG will still do the double.
Okay, so Divine.
Okay. PSG straight up do it against Aston Villa. Inter Milan, Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich lost their chance by actually losing
at home.
Yeah, I understand injuries. Salah is injured. Some key players are injured. So I just see that Inter Milan will just, whether it's going to be tough or it's going to be simple, all I know is that Inter Milan will just scale through. What again? Barcelona, Dortmund. I see Barcelona just being commanding there. I see Barcelona just taking over and winning.
Okay. Okay, sorry for cutting you short. You know, there's a little. Okay, go ahead. No, Barcelona. I said Barcelona will do what? Yeah?
Barcelona would win against Dortmund.
I think that's the easiest out of
That's the easiest of all this.
Arsenal, Real Madrid. It's going to be very, very, very tough. This is Santiago Bernabeu. But the thing there is, the Madrid that we saw against Arsenal at the first leg they were not really hungry. Arsenal just mauled them. Let me use your word. They mauled them. So. I don't know if it's going to be different. A comeback is possible, but I just see us now struggling to just, qualify on goal aggregate.
Okay, we'll get to that bridge when we cross it, and I won't say more about that. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Just go to the Europa League. Tell us very quickly what's happening
in the Europa League. It was a night of drama. Manchester United joined 2-2 with Lyon. A lot of criticisms for Onana right there, with a few mistakes there and there. But Bodo Glimt doing the jump over Lazio 2-0 at home. Lyon sharing the draw with Man United in the first leg. Rangers 0-0 with Athletic Club. And Tottenham drawing 1-1 with Frankfurt at home. All to do for most clubs in the second leg.
Okay, no disrespect to Bodo Glimt against Lazio and Rangers against Athletic Club. The two English teams, Man United against Lyon, they will be hosting Lyon in the second leg at Old Trafford, while Tottenham will have to travel to Frankfurt to play against Eintracht Frankfurt. What's your prediction?
A win for Tottenham, 2-1 away from home.
Against Frankfurt?
Yes.
Okay. What Man U?
Man U, I would give it, or rather play it safely and just give it a 2-1 as well to Manchester United.
Okay. Zeke?
Only the English.
Just because of time. Just the English.
I think Tottenham, Ange Postecoglou has already put himself in a spot of bother. He said, I always win something in my second season. And this is their only chance, their only opportunity to win anything. So I will just go with him, Tottenham to just do the job in Germany. But United, for their fans, I think this season can't end anytime sooner. I think Lyon can even take them out because they should have had a 2-1 win. But a lapse in concentration.
For the record, please, viewers, take out there means eliminate, not kill. Please, let's be clear.
I still feel that Lyon, due to United not securing that first leg win, have already shot themselves in the foot. I believe Lyon will win.
Okay, thank you very much. Divine, quickly.
I believe Lyon to win Manchester United by, let me say, probably a 1-0. It's sneaky 1-0. Then, or a goal difference rather.
Yeah.
Then, who again?
Tottenham against Frankfurt, yes.
Okay. Tottenham has been doing well in the Europa League. It's just in the league that they just mess up. But I see Frankfurt edging over them because Tottenham failed to get that home win, that home advantage. Because when you're at home, you have this kind of confidence and advantage that, okay, I should do more. But since it's like Tottenham lost the tie by not getting a win, so Frankfurt to win also.
Okay, thank you. Before we move to the Conference League, there's breaking news right now, and it's concerning the early kickoff today. The lineup is there. For those who want to know the lineup for Manchester City at Etihad against Crystal Palace. Man City are playing with a 4-2-3-1 formation. You have Ederson, who's between the sticks, and Rico Lewis is playing at right back. Nico O'Reilly is playing at left back with the centre-back pair of Ruben Diaz and Josko Vardiol. Then the two men in the central midfielders are Gonzalez and Mateo Kovacic. Then you have leading the line Omar Marmoush, and behind him you have Kevin De Bruyne and Jason McAtee. And then Ilkay Gundogan is playing in the hole behind the striker there. And then Crystal Palace are playing with a cupcake formation. That is a 3-4-2-1 formation with Henderson between the sticks. And then Richards is playing as the right centre back. And then Lacroix is playing as the centre back, the centre back. And then the left centre back is Jason Lerma. Then Tyrone Mitchell is playing as a left wing back while Munoz is playing as a right wing back. Kamada and Wharton are playing as the central midfielders. Then Eberechi Eze is playing alongside Ismail Assar, and they are providing ammunition for Jean-Philippe Mateta. These are the front man who's going to lead that line. So it's going to be, that's the fixture for you to know, just those who want to get involved in the action that's going on, and if those who want to invest wisely, the investments. So speaking of investments, Conference League.
To the Conference League, and there's no surprises that the favourites, Chelsea, were conference winners away from home in Poland. I'm talking about the match against Liga Warsaw. Chelsea were conference winners 3-0. 2 goals from Noni Madueke. Moving on to the Real Betis game, Real Betis did the job over Janglona. Sergei just falling short to Florentina, and Dojgen Garden losing 1-0 at home to SK Rapid. That's how the first leg went. Okay, so the teams are going to, I think it's very, very safe to say that the teams are going to know themselves. It's very clear for everybody to see. Okay, we end the show right now with news. First of all, in the Monte Carlo Masters, the Monte Carlo Masters in the tennis, the world of tennis, the PTA Tour. Monte Carlo Masters is a clay court event. It's the precursor. You talk about the Masters and then the Grand Slams proper. So normally there are certain Masters that are ranked very high, and then they're more like a preparation ground for the next Masters, for the next Grand Slam. Yeah. So the second Grand Slam of the year is Roland Garros, the French Open, and it's clay court. So the Monte Carlo Masters, which is holding in Monaco, is also there, but it's clay court. So preparation for the clay court of French Open. Novak Djokovic, who is the third in the world, third ranked, lost to Tabilo, Alejandro Tabilo, the Chilean counterpart. The man has really had his number. He's one of only 2 players, he's one of only 3 players, I beg your pardon, to win Djokovic twice or more without Djokovic getting any win. Marat Safin was one of them back then. Yeah. So really, this guy is not very young, but he came out on the scene not too long ago. He's 28 this year, and he had his number. A left-hander. Djokovic. Should we be worried about Djokovic, because this is not the best way to prepare for what should be his attempt to get his 25th Grand Slam and go clear of Margaret Court? What's your take? How do we factor this? Yeah, it's not a right step in the preparations for this final. Like we say, he's trying to draw the curtains here and get that 25th Grand Slam. But I mean, he needs to work on himself. He needs to improve his game. I know his age and all that, but he just needs to focus and get the results that he needs for the preparations, and that's just it.
Okay, that's really nice to know. So, of course, just a reminder as we end the show, Sir Lewis Hamilton is now a rider in the Formula One circuit with Ferrari, and he competed in the race yesterday. I think he finished 6th or 8th, I can't remember exactly, in the Bahrain Grand Prix practice. And we wish him all the best anyway in his bid to overtake Michael Schumacher to get an 8th championship. He's joined with Michael Schumacher, the legend, with 7 championships. So he's changed to Ferrari to try and get that record. We wish him all the best. And talking about the best, I wish you all the best this weekend. That's the size of the package on Afia Home of Sports, on Afia TV. Thank you very much for being with us this week. And as we move straight into the I almost said Yuletide. What is wrong with me? Not Yuletide. We move into the Passion Week, which begins tomorrow with Palm Sunday, especially those of